So a reminder to everybody in attendance: this will be an English Anglophone session. Not to worry.
Yes,
you're not in the wrong place. You're not on the wrong link. I know it's been complex yesterday and today to know where to be, but trust me, if you're here, you're in the right place. There is nowhere else to be right now. I'm not going to give much of an introduction. Walter is going to be our session host for this synthesis session. Afterwards, we'll have a few closing words from our colleague Maya Tyson, and then we will wrap up our conference today. Walter, welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good afternoon from the Netherlands, and I think we are split between morning and afternoon, and we may have some very early morning and some evening participants also in this final session, which has the title Conference Synthesis and Close. And like we did in the first sessions of the whole conference, we start to link what we have been discussing on guiding seed sector transformation in this whole conference over 3.5 days now, or 2.5 days now. What kind of practices are there? How do they lead to improving the seed sector in different countries? How do they contribute to the transformation of the food system in Africa? Considering that improving the seed sector does not only link directly to does not only link to food security and nutrition, but also has many socioeconomic aspects such as gender, the inclusion of youth in agriculture, opportunities for employment, and also has a lot of implications on environmental aspects, such as climate change adaptation, and many aspects have already passed those days. So today's synthesis is a follow-up to what we did earlier on Monday, together with Dr. Wobil and Gloria Otieno from Alliance of Biodiversity and SIAT. Today we have 4 visitors in this. We have Mart Diallo, who is a senior in ISSD because he was really an active participant in the ISSD Africa inception I think it was 2011 or something like that, but recently has joined again in the family by joining KIT and working in ISSD Sahel. And then we have Chinedo Agbara. He's also a new member in the larger community working with projects with Wageningen Center of Development Innovation. Chinedo is working with Sahel Consulting, and he's the program manager for the Collaborative Seed Program under the Nigeria-Netherlands Seed Partnership. Then we have with us also Ronnie Vernooy, and Ronnie works with the Alliance for Biodiversity and SIAT. Ronnie has a long-standing working with also contributing to ISSD Africa, and has worked in this space, I think, as long as I am. I remember today when there was the community seed bank session, and Andrew Mushita's group was mentioned there. That these are the early days of the 1992 Rio Summit, that the link between Ronnie and me was, when he was still working at IDRC, the link was there. And then we have, again, bringing from the second session, we have requests that a long partner to WLCDI in the work that we do in integrated seed sector development, in guiding sector transformation, the Royal Tropical Institute. Peter Gildemacher, who's now leading the section there, has been very vocal and a very strong supporter to this work. And that's why we also really want to give the floor to Peter to also share his views. So what we do today is basically I've asked the panelists to participate in several of the sessions, like many of you, and to take those glasses. Where do you see a potential game changer? And I really asked them to indicate what session really made you think this is something really that can inspire us, and also for us in the sector to make steps that we, operating in the larger ecosystem of seed sector development in Africa, we can make a very clear distribution. I want to start with you, Mart. My question to you, if we think about the socioeconomic drivers in agriculture and in the seed sector, Often we focus in seed sector development and food security and nutrition, but there are many other socioeconomic aspects that are there. Where do you see that certain practices that have been presented in this conference, that can you pick out one that you really looking with that socioeconomic aspects of seed sector development? Which game changer do you want to share? And please also refer to the session that you participated and viewed that you want to refer to as inspiration. Floor to you, Mart.
Thank you, Walter, for this opportunity. So I was kind of overwhelmed after looking at participating to the different session. So when I was trying to deal with my question, so I say, I can say almost all the session that I participate in had some socio-economic driver that can be put in practice for changing seed sector for to improve food and nutrition in Africa. But I have to choose some, so to focus to focalize my intervention on those. So I will start off with the session that was on early generation seed demand for forecasting. So in this, I think that is like a starting point. Because if you want to produce or improve seed, quality seed to make it available to farmer, so you have you really need to get a early generation seed. That means breeder seed and pre-based seed. So, and to produce those also, we have to keep in mind that our aim is not just to produce early generation seed, but for the sake to produce, but we want to produce it so that it can be used by farmer, adapted by farmer in order to increase food production. And not all type of food, but we want nutritious food to be produced so that when the population consume it, it can contribute to improving the nutritional status. So I think like to be able to produce efficiently early generation seed. So most of the time, the researcher and the enterprise that are involved on this production, they are struggling a lot because the demand is not clear. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is not clear. So, and if there is something that can make the demand really clear at the beginning, what the final user want, and in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, that can make it easier for a researcher to breed the seed of those variety, and it will be used. It will not be sitting in the research station. Okay. So that was something that attacked me a lot.
Thank you.
As a game changer.
I think what is interesting that we have another female seed sector specialist talking the same thing because Gloria in the first synthesis said, or Gloria Otieno from Biodiversity and Seed Alliance in the first synthesis session actually said similar like you, that in seed sector development, if we are serious about food security and nutrition, we are co-responsible that Africans get a healthy diet. And that has direct implications on how we organize our sector and what transformation means. So transformation means that also public and private, how we organize early generation seed supply, such like you do with all the forecasting, that we give due attention to the different species. For pulses, for roots and tubers, for vegetables, to make sure that the seed producers, whoever the companies or seed producers are, they have get access to the right varieties. I think it's really nice that this repetition comes through. So that is really something reinforces your point as made by Gloria. Thank you, Mart. Let us move now to Ronnie. So, Ronnie, working in biodiversity and with your long experience in working with these various aspects, and actually, I know you always in your work you have been able to combine the more environmental aspects and also with socioeconomic aspects in your work. So, I'm sure these are the glasses that you look and that you read the discussions and listen to the discussions. So, I'm very curious to what game changer you want to highlight based on the discussions today and yesterday and before.
Yeah, yes, thank you very much, Walter. Okay, well, I'm putting on my 30-year old glasses, and it's nice that you mentioned 1992, because I mean, this was the year that we start to be serious looking at the role of agrobiodiversity.
Yes.
and biodiversity in more general terms. And ever since, yeah, I've been very interested to try to make sure that we do that kind of work. I was really most struck by the contribution of the local seed businesses development. I think, and now even 10 years ago, when we started this, we would not have imagined how this would grow and evolve and become stronger. And now also being picked up in other countries around the world. I think, first of all, because it means, to me, a real transformation of the seed sector. I mean, it brings a new group of players into the sector. I mean, it is the farmers who become central stage in this process as actors, as entrepreneurs, also as policy entrepreneurs. It also does diversify the seed sector, I think, which is, we know that is one of the strengths of being having a vibrant seed sector. So I think in that sense, it's an expression of what I think is transformation. And if you look at the outcomes, I think, I mean, across all the LSBs that there are now, some of them are managing to put more climate resilient crops, you know, on the table, so to say. Others are specializing in more nutrient dense varieties. I think there's an enormous potential to develop this kind of niches for the different LSPs according to where they operate. I mean, there are so many different agroecological regions where we need different types of seeds. And so I think I see a huge potential. And then, I mean, this combines, of course, with the income generation, with the employment opportunities, especially of young people, empowerment of women as seed entrepreneurs, which we have seen coming up everywhere almost where there are LSPs. And last, I think this movement is also contributing to policy change. And so this is kind of a bottom up. You see, I think of course, we have been working on this, but I think this automatically, when this becomes stronger and have a larger market share, we see there is a need for policy change. And I will come back later to that point in the second part of the session. Thank you.
Well, Ronnie, very clear. I think you combine the 3 food system outcomes very nicely with the LSBs, because if we really want to reach food security and nutrition through the diversity of crops relevant for Africa, we cannot rely only on farmer-safe seed on the one hand, and let's say the more commercial seed companies or the global companies. There is really a niche in order to reach that by those companies. And you also mentioned, in order to get a wide diversity of crops and varieties to farmers, where there other players may not be playing a big role in, but at the same time also there are a lot of aspects of inclusion working with LSBs. So it is really taking that more integrated approach that we are with these conferences with ISSD. That let's say we're working really hard on that for more than 10 years now. That also the first fruits from the various programs, whether they are called LSBs or community-based seed production in other, doesn't matter. That intermediary path, taking an entrepreneurial, locally based, that is a complement to the other more clear, formal, informal, whatever there is in between comes through. So I think I've seen many remarks on that also. Thank you very much. Let's move to our younger new brother, Chinedu. Really nice to see you in this audience, also presenting Sahel Consulting, and also being a colleague in the collaborative seed program that is contributing to the Nigeria-Netherlands seed partnership that we started this year. So if you look for food and nutrition security in Nigeria, with a tremendous demographic growth, with a tremendous urbanization, but also with a lot of potential in your country for intensification of agriculture, and actual need for intensification of agriculture. So, what kind of game changers did you see with your classes from for working in the CSP program, and also looking for increasing let's say food security and nutrition in your country? What is your game changer?
Yeah, thanks, Walter. Thanks for the nice introduction. And yeah, it's been very impactful sessions, all the sessions that I've been lucky enough to attend. And yes, I think I'm a better person to implement the programs and projects and seed system that I'm working on, and I appreciate all for putting this together. So the LSB actually did come up, as mentioned by Ronnie. The local seed businesses, it's very important in trying to get the kinds of seeds, the quality of the seeds, and the kind of seed that we want to the local farmers, who are very key in food security. Yeah, so I've had colleagues also who participated speak to me on this and say this is very important and something we can try to implement or incorporate in the program that we are working on going forward, right? So also, but for me, based on my background in finance, so I liked a lot from what I listened to in this session on seasonal scenario planning for matching seed supply and demand, because I think this is very key in finding solutions, because you need to understand the demand, where is the demand and where is the gap, even for investors, even for all actors in the seed value chain, to really know what are we lacking and how do we need to find the solutions to involve to get that done. And I also had this also affirmed by in the session on an investor guide for Africa, generating seed company market intelligence, where the participant highlighted the need and the gap that they see, where information is not very available for private investors to do their due diligence and make decisions on where to invest. So I think incorporating this seasonal scenario planning, matching seed and demand, and identifying gaps is very important for me in trying to find solution in my country, Nigeria. Thank you.
It's interesting that you bring both LSB and that kind of scenario and that kind of planning exercises, because if we really take an integrated approach, we should not develop that scenario planning only we need that for global companies, we need that for national or regional companies, but actually also what the others are saying, for those community-based seed schemes or LSBs, they also rely heavily on EGS, on new varieties in ways, and that has implications how we organize the sector. So in that way, we really need to think that through, how to take an integrated approach also to that, and that we don't, with game changers, fall in the trap that we basically, that's why also we started ISSD, is to make clear that these kind of game changers are applicable to all seed systems that we are talking about. So thank you, Chinedu. Let's move to Peter Gildemacher of the Royal Tropical Institute. And Peter has been playing a role in the ISSD Africa for as long as it is operating. So Peter, looking at these 3 points, what do you want to add, or are you able to bring them also? I try to do in my facilitation, also try to bring them together a little bit, but I'm really curious which game changer you bring and how it relates to the other 3 that were mentioned. Floor is yours, Peter.
Well, the most important game changer I see is not coming from a single presentation, but it comes more from the way we approach seed sector development and the change in that there's a strong transformation towards a seed user focus, a very strong focus on what do seed users need in the end, because for a long time as seed sector experts, we risk operating with a tunnel vision of developing the ideal seed sector, and then thinking about what is the ideal seed sector, and then trying to transplant that to different countries. While what you see in a lot of examples during this conference is that what is much more productive for food system outcomes is to have a seed user focus. And for that, I was glad to listen to the session on focusing on information and knowledge to assist farmers in their decision making. Yeah? Because the starting point for me that we need to keep in mind is that all farmers, in essence, already have the right motivation. They want to have the best seed for their own economic situation, and they are looking for it. And they're also most often even willing to pay. What they need is the right information to make a decision on which seed suits them best. So for that, attention for seed extension is very important. So I was glad there was a session about that, and I'm also glad that that was also part of the discussion on the results in Burundi, where there was also talk about private sector-led seed extension. So that's one, the extension part, seed extension. The second part was about understanding farmer behavior and understanding on what grounds do farmers decide to invest in seed. Very important information to be able to better respond to demand. So for that, the session on farmer perception of what is affordable seed, I think is very important, and more of that understanding can only help suppliers to understand how to respond to farmers' demand. And of course, it was mentioned by the others as well. I think the evidence that local seed businesses fill a gap in the supply of seed to the diversity of farmers, and that basically it responds to the need of farmers for affordable seed of a reasonable quality that fits their economic situation, I think is a game changer, and that it is complementary to other ways of supplying seed. So for me, those are the elements, and mainly a seed user focus. For me, that is the basis of the transformation.
Thank you, Peter. It's really, I think what you put with putting the seed user so central, it can also be a little bit considered a critique of how we operate a position in the seed sector transformation in a food system perspective. Because in order for us to contribute to food security and nutrition, to contribute to socioeconomic, it's really basically at the end, it is the seed user where she or he sources the seed and start to use it, and how often she or he looks for new varieties. That is the critical way that we contribute to food security and nutrition. Yeah, so that's a very critical element.
Can you allow me to respond to that, Walter?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, because I of course I've been thinking about this in the preparation for this short discussion, and I do think in that regard the food system transformation focus will help us a lot in looking at the end goal. And for that, I think it's very important that we keep in mind that the ultimate indicators of success are not the financial turnover of the seed sector, or the volumes of certified seed that are being produced. They're easy to measure, but they are not the indicators of success of seed sector transformation, its contribution to food system transformation. We need to focus on the other indicators of its contribution to producing ample and healthy food, contribution to farmers earning a living income and reducing their risks, and also production in a sustainable, ecologically sustainable manner. So I do think the link between seed sector transformation and food system transformation is important. Ultimately, we transform the seed sector not to optimize its turnover and its profit, but to provide service to the food system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to, I can't withhold myself. You all guys know me a little bit, that I can't keep my own game chaser also. I want to share also with you. And basically, it was inspired by the intervention made by Gloria. And that was reinforced yesterday by her colleague, Alessandra, during the panel on 1CGIR. Is that also how, for me, a game changer in this conference is more about how we position ourselves, working in the seed sector ourselves. Is that we have always been targeting to the seed sector moving in a more productive way, yeah? Raising productivity, raising that. And I think if we are really sure about nutrition, that we play a vital role in nutrition, but like Alessandra mentioned yesterday, if we really want to contribute to, for example, gender empowerment, how do we organize the seed sector? That not only through seed sector interventions we contribute to empowerment, but by women or youth taking roles in the seed sector, they empower themselves. So it's really a reversal of that. It's the same we can apply also to the environmental outcomes, how we structure our activities in the seed sector. If we really want to contribute to resilience and adaptation, to biodiversity conservation, is how do we structure the seed sector that if these goals, which are also the goals in food systems, as these are true, is not of reaching that, and it's not how we work in the seed sector. And that I think that if we take that really, I think if I was very inspired by Gloria and both Alessandra to say, okay, if we take these other goals in our seed system work, and we are able to make it broader, we can play not only by raising productivity of more crops and more varieties a role, the seed sector can contribute in other ways. So it's also a little bit of a paradigm shift how we perceive ourselves in a larger perspective of agricultural development. Okay, let us move now to a final round of questions, and that's, I think I want to make a little bit personal, because each of you work in that space, and so talking about this. So what is a key takeaway that you take from this conference? And you all play important roles, each in your own organization in different programs. And also many of you are in this for a long time with quite a number of responsibilities. So what is your takeaway, and how does that translate in your ambition for the coming years working in the seed sector? Let me start with Marta first.
Okay, as you say, it is really personal. So from this conference, my takeaway message is we cannot transform food system without going from seed sector transformation, because the food is coming from seed. Mm-hmm. And for that, we have to do it to transform the seed sector in a sustainable way. And a sustainable way is we have to agree that we are living in a fragile environment. So all activity we will do to transform our seed sector should take into account the climate change effect. Mm-hmm. And the second point is we have to do it in an inclusive way. So that means we have to take into account the concern of women, especially they are the one in charge of preparing food. Mm-hmm. So, and since seed production, their input has to be taken into account to boost the adoption of the seed of the new variety that will be developed. Because if they know this variety, since the beginning, this variety is rich in nutriment, or it is easily processed, it can be processed easily, so to make a food that people like to consume. So, but if they are put aside, their opinion is not taken into account since the beginning, so it will be it will impact the adoption rate. And one thing is to develop a seed, to produce quality seed. And the other thing is to adapt it by farmer. And our ultimate goal is that those seed that we will produce through system transformation be adapted by farmers so that they can increase their productivity, they can increase their income, and improve their livelihood.
Okay,
Yeah.
merci.
Yeah,
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. I really look forward with you further in the ISSD Israel project. Ronnie, what's your take on that point, on that question?
Yeah, my first observation is, I think, and I'm very pleased to see that the importance of diversity, not only crop diversity, but also socioeconomic diversity, needs to be embedded in the sector and thus in the transformation towards a more resilient and better system. Well, maybe it took 30 years to come to that realization, but I think this conference is a good proof of it. My second resonates what Peter already said. I think I can see a clear shift now away from a supply-driven focus to a seed, but I would also say food user perspective. And I think this has taken maybe even more time to bring about this change. The aspiration I have is that I think this now needs to be translated into much more policy and institutional change. And we know that these are always behind changes in society. But I think even there we see some positive changes happening.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ronnie. Peter, Ronnie already referred to you, so I want to move first to you.
Yeah, well, I of course risk repeating what Marta and Ronnie say, and what they both mentioned the word inclusion. I think that is a key word to keep in mind when we consider seed sector performance in emerging economies. If we want to make sure that the seed sector has the biggest possible impact on food system, then we need to think about a seed sector that provides service and a tailored service to the large diversity of farmers, and that goes beyond only that goes beyond only male-female contrast. There's also a major contrast between different socioeconomic situations of farmers, and I think that's a responsibility of all seed sector actors. All seed sector actors have a role to play to keep in mind that it is about leaving no one behind, and also think about what are the services we can provide to those who are less endowed, those who have less investment opportunities in the seed sector. There is something to do for all seed users, and we should not forget about any of the seed users, because they are all contributing to the food system. So I think that is that's key. We think about inclusion and continue to focus on the diversity of demands, which requires a diversity of services on offer, and that needs to be provided by the whole continuum of seed sector actors, with an important role for the private sector, but we can't leave it all to the private sector. And there's more actors that need to play a role to provide that diversity.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how these different ambitions are coming together. So Chinedu, from your perspective, also from CSP, but also the fact that you have been operating in the RTB space quite a bit, which is also very important in seed. We always start to talk about these grain crops. What kind of ambitions do you take out of this conference, and maybe how can you ask to the perspectives of Peter, Ronnie, and Mart?
Yeah, so I mean, the word, like Peter said, inclusion, it's all comes together from all the discussion. I think we need to see, or personally, what I would like to see is more, platform where people can come together to talk more. Seed system actors, food and nutrition actors, all this having to come together to say this is what we want and to speak with one voice and have an expanded focus on things how to do. So right now, like basically, if I relate this to a little bit of the CSP, we have this seed sector coordination that we work on, and I think that needs to be expanded more. From what I see, is like bringing my personal experience, to include more people who play in the food and nutrition actors, because we need to understand what is it that they see in that, what is it that they need from the kind of diversity that you want, and the kind of inclusion that you want, to ensure that everybody is pulling together in the same direction and integrating all this together to achieve the success that we desire across the chains.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. So I really see that how this actually what the kind of game changers and also ambitions are, how they come together. If we place that this is today, this meeting is a celebration of concluding work in Uganda and Ethiopia, where we worked very hard on getting these LSBs going, because the work was then 10 years. People worked on community-based seed production in different places, but we worked really hard there, and they really, today also Uganda colleagues really presented a lot of how it changed the seed sector in their country, how then also the enabling environment, the policy environment has to, mentioned by you guys, have to move forward. But we start to put that seed sector framework in a larger context, with seed users, with other goals beyond, like 2008, it's all about food security because of the food crisis. Now with food systems, we bring the different SDGs together in one whole, and they drive us. It's not individual, it's much more integrated in a way also how we approach food systems. So I think in that way we can see also we have still 2 years to go in GSST Africa, how I can hope that really that the current discussions will also inspire the different groups in GSST Africa how to bring these insights emerging in this conference into their individual topic teams. I know with Tinedo here, with whom we are working on a daily basis, also with Mart, I'm sure also with Ronnie in the various activities that Biodiversity and all the others are involved in. So the new programs that are there, the new initiatives that are coming with GSST Sahel, with the program in South Sudan, many of the partners, Mercy Corps and others are there. They really have the opportunity to take a more contemporary approach to take the principles of GSST further. Maybe we broaden them also and adapt them today. And I think in that way, we are really making a good progress in this conference. So I see my sister Maya coming here again. So I think this, I want to thank the panelists for their very sharp review. And I think the four of you were able to lift all these individual aspects to another level, which I really hope, and I feel a duty to, together with you, that we also do something with that moving forward. Summer is coming in Europe, so some of us will take off, but we will have the very fresh mind. I think we recorded this, and what I can share, this is something really we I think with KIT also in GSST Africa, we have a responsibility to take these aspects forward, and also guiding our the next steps, and to keep our commitment also, and our joint leadership, all of us here in the seed sector moving forward. Maya, the floor is to you again.
Thank you so much, Walter, and thank you, panelists, for the very nice discussion and indeed sharp observations. So I have now the task to close this conference. So first, I would like to thank the participants for staying with us until this last session of the conference, which I think is indeed a very important one, since it brings all these different ideas and perspectives on game changers for seed sector transformation, and its contributions to food systems outcomes together. And reflecting at the past 3 days and the enormous diversity of topics that we discussed and innovations and programs that we shared and discussed during this conference, and also the number of participants that we had, which is close to 500, it adds up to almost 500, I think we may conclude that the conference served well as a platform to bring together international expertise, African expertise, looking backwards and learning from past experiences, as well as looking forward now on how to further change the game of seed sector transformation to contribute to food systems outcomes. And I think we may confidently conclude that seed will be part of the solutions and pathways towards food and food security and nutrition, but also socioeconomic environmental outcomes. So at this moment, I just want to say a big thank you. First, a big thank you to the participants who have been with us, some for one session, others for several sessions, others for the whole 3 days. I want to thank them for all their inputs and discussions. And I hope that the program has inspired you. And I apologize that we couldn't answer all your questions. And but I hope that we can come back to them somehow in other discussions, in other forums. I want to thank also all our partners, the presenters and the panelists, for organizing excellent webinars and sharing with us their experiences and having excellent discussions. Without you, we couldn't have done this conference. And let me also thank you, the development partners, with special thanks to the Netherlands government for support to many seed sector programs in Africa. And also a special thank you to the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation for support to ISD Africa. But also thank you to all other development partners for supporting important seed sector initiatives in Africa. So also asked me to share my game changer. And I've been thinking, and then I would like to quote Mohammed Husseina, who joined us in the first game-changing session on Monday. And I would like to quote him because he said it's so important to recognize the diversity of seed sectors, different seed systems, addressing different crops, recognize the diversity of farmer seed users, and that there is not one single silver bullet, but we need different solutions. So let's really work and recognize, keep on recognizing this diversity in our efforts on seed sector transformation. And yeah, with this, I would like to conclude the conference. And I would like to encourage you to join the afternoon program in which the African Union Commission will launch the Africa Seed and Biotechnology Partnership platform. Please join us there also. And now for the last time, over to you, James.
I have been doing pretty well with unmuting myself for the last few days. So of course it was going to happen now. Maria, thanks very much for your closing words. Thanks to everybody for contributing, organizing sessions, and for everybody here in the audience for being part of those sessions. I want to just highlight again that we've had almost 500 people take part at one point or another during the conference. We're delighted to have so many people log in and take part. A very common question is what happens next. So please note that all of the recordings for all of the sessions will, in due course, come on isdafrica.org, and we will be getting permission from each of the speakers and presenters whether we can share their slides also on that website. Honestly, if you really want to find out all the latest on what happens when all this content is available, please be sure to register for the ISSD Africa mailing list. You'll find that big button, subscribe, on the ISSD Africa website. And a final reminder, also you'll see there a big green button as it is right now to join the General Assembly of the ASBPP. With that, a final word of thanks. I wish everybody pleasant discussions for the rest of the day and the very best of luck with all of your work. Thanks, and until next time.